Hello, welcome to the Basketball Soapbox. I am your host, Daniel Daly. In this video, we'll be talking about the Celtics because it seems like there's a tale of two stories for the Boston Celtics so far, especially within the last weeks or so. The first quarter of the season, they're one of the best teams in basketball, one of the best offensive rating teams in the basketball, leading the league in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage. And then all of a sudden this past week, they drop a couple home games on their homestand, don't look too good against the Warriors, Clippers, etc., and they look like one of the worst teams in basketball offensively. And people are saying they're kind of reverting back to how they were playing in the finals, and I don't really think that's the case here. I think the Celtics are playing it the same style of basketball. I think there's just a little couple tweaks here that people are overlooking and trying to focus on all these other things, blaming the coach Joe Mazzulla, blaming Tatum, blaming Brown, saying we're not ready, we're not doing this, et cetera, et cetera. We're not doing the same things that we were doing in the first quarter of the season over the past week. And I'm like, we got to take a deeper look into this because I think there's more to tell of the story. But let's start out the game last night with the Boston Celtics with the win over Minnesota, 121-109. Robert Williams was not in this game. Karl Anthony Towns was not there for the Minnesota Timberwolves. As his absence. Naz Reid, side note, Naz Reid is a really good player for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I really like how he's playing there for them. I think he's 21 points and 8 rebounds a game. He's really able to spread the floor, play inside, and be able to score and be able to rebound and stuff like that. So I thought that was a bright spot for Minnesota, as well as D'Angelo Russell in the first half, having 18 points in the first half. Really having his input. Kind of got a little shaky at the end of the quarter, where I thought a lot of those plays should have won for Edwards in case of having the game in your best player's hands. I feel like he got a couple shots, and then there's this guy Novell for the Wolves that just shot a lot, had the ultimate green light. I think he finished like 6 for 17 on the night or something like that. But he just Minnesota, man, your best player is Anthony Edwards. Get the ball to him, put it in his hands, and let him figure it out. But moving on, Jaylen Brown with 36 points in this game didn't really shoot the ball well from three-point range, but really took over the game in the fourth quarter with 23 fourth-quarter points, really leading the charge there, getting 36 points there, as you can see at the bottom there, as well as with Jason Tatum scoring 30 points. So when these guys score 30 points, the Celtics most likely win. I think Jaylen Brown has had 6 30-point games where they won this season, so I got to see the record of what it is when Tatum and Brown score 30 points apiece, as usually spells good things for the Celtics. Those guys scoring very different ways and getting back on track offensively, basically what we needed from these two guys. Usually over the past week, it was either one guy had a good game and the other one didn't. To have both of these guys show up and have a good game here is really good. Nito Brown and Esteban, I'm going to call these guys because they're gangster. And when they're on their tier here, when they're scoring 30 apiece from these two, the Celtics are very tough to beat. I'm pretty sure their record is crazy. I got to find that stat somewhere. But yeah, when you have this dynamic duo, all-star duo, potentially all-NBA duo between both of these guys, the Celtics are very tough to beat, and especially when they get stops like that and really hold teams to a certain play style where they can get in transition, where we saw tonight against Minnesota, where they can get in transition, score in transition, get dunks, finishes at the rim, really put pressure on the defense downhill in transition. And the Celtics don't play fast, but when their defense creates a lot of steals, they get the defensive rebound, they can push in transition and get easy opportunities, which is something the Celtics need to get back to at this point in time. Also in this game, Al Horford with 17 and 11, playing steady. Al Horford is going to be that guy for us. He's always going to be there. But Derek White really had a good game today, probably his best game on the season. He started off shooting real well to start the season, and then he just went flatlined. And I thought the other game there, where they started Pritchard and him, I thought that was a mistake by Joe Mazzulla there on that point, where I feel like the other guys kind of enhanced Derek White, where he's able to play within the role there. But in the backcourt there, without Smart, without Brogdon as the sixth man, starting Pritchard and White kind of got him off to the wrong start. But when he has his regular guys around him, he's able to play that off-ball guard between Brown and Smart. He's able to find his role there and find his way to score. Even though he didn't shoot the ball well from three tonight, he was really active on the inside and finding shots there, shooting really well. And this is probably his best game on the season. looking at what he's been doing so far. He's been in the slump a little bit. I think the Celtics overall has been a shooting slump, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Another thing that stood out to me, Rudy Gobert, who's on this team, he only had 12 rebounds tonight, but the Celtics are leading the rebounding battle 53-45, but 20 offensive rebounds by the Boston Celtics. Getting those extra opportunities, especially when your shot's not falling, that's going to be a calling card. That's going to be something that can really help your team to get those second chance opportunities, get open, get another bunch of open looks. And the Celtics did a good job tonight doing that against Minnesota. But now let's get into the first 26 games for the Boston Celtics, where they went 21-5, and the last week or so, where they have been 2-5, especially with the win tonight in Minnesota. So they were 1-5 before last night's win. And I feel like people are giving the Celtics a bad rap over the past week, sitting here saying, hey, these guys are not playing the same. They're not moving the ball. They're not playing the same way. We're reverting back to the old way. And I'm like, wait a minute, are we watching the same game here? And I don't think people are really paying attention to how much shooting impacts this team and how that can skew numbers and the looks of things. Because the Celtics are getting a lot of offensive looks, but when we get into the numbers, you're going to see that they're just not hitting. But let's look at how they went over the first 26 games of the season. 49% from the field, which was third in the NBA at the time. When you're third in the NBA at field goal percentage, that speaks a lot. That means you're getting the right shots, especially with the Celtics getting easy buckets. That helped a lot, something that was a huge problem in past years where I just thought we weren't getting good shots. 40% from three as a team. That's over the Warriors. That's the other teams that really shoot the ball well. We were first in that time. Free throw percentage is 84%. I think we were getting in about the middle of the league in free throws, attempts per game. But to be number one in the league, making your free throws, getting those easy buckets, and especially that means that you're being aggressive and getting to the line and scoring. That's adding to your offense. Seventh in assists there with 27.1 in the game. When you're passing that well and shooting that well, which I want to get into the other part with the Celtics over the last week, when you're shooting it like that, that builds your assist numbers. That makes it easy shots. That draws more guys overcompensating, trying to rotate and help, leaving other guys open, knocking down shots. That's what the Celtics were doing the first 26 games in the season. Basically, they were knocking down shots. Their offensive rating was probably the best in NBA history so far at 120, and their defense that didn't start off so great kind of crept up. I thought that was interesting when I looked at those numbers where the Celtics defense creeped up into the top 10 there with the 110.8 defensive rating. I didn't think their defense – I was worried about their defense because Robert Williams wasn't going to be there. We knew that to start the season. And I was worried about how that would hold up. So I just wanted to look at the Celtics offense, which was great the first 26 games of the season. And hopefully our defense will catch up when Robert Williams comes back. But our defense actually held up there, which was really interesting. And the Celtics really shocked me there with that they were able to find that defensive and be able to keep that balance there. Maybe it was some parts of the schedule, of course, that always plays a part. But for them to take advantage of that and even be that close to being solid defensively was really interesting to see at that point in time. But let's look at the last 7 games for the Boston Celtics, where we lost to the Warriors, the Clippers, the Magic twice, and the Pacers. And people are losing their minds. Now, the only game that I was really upset about was the Golden State Warriors game, because I felt like that was a game, especially they didn't have Andrew Wiggins. The Warriors have been struggling. I felt like this was a time, hey, let's take care of business and put these guys down. And they flipped the script on us. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Jordan Poole were able to break down the defense and be able to score inside, shoot the three. And I don't like the drop coverage that we play against the Golden State Warriors. Stop playing the drop coverage against the Golden State Warriors and giving them open shots. That's never going to help your team. NBA, stop doing that. You got to fight through the switch. You got to fight through the screen, switch, do whatever it is, overhelp, rotate, get the ball out their hands and try to make them beat you that way. Stop overhelping on Draymond Green. Stop overhelping on Kevon Looney on these screen and rolls and stuff like that. Fight through those guys. Do not play drop coverage. Do not do that. You're giving Steph Curry, you're giving Klay Thompson, two of the guys that we've seen nearly a decade, shoot the ball better than anyone else in league history. Stop doing that, please. That's not going to help you. So that was really the only game that really stood out to me where I was like, okay, that's an issue there. We go to the Clippers. They pull away late. We're not shooting the ball really well. That's probably our worst shooting percentage of the road trip. And it's something that stood out to me. Even in the Phoenix game, we didn't shoot the ball well, but a lot of our shots were short. And that's been the case over the course of this past week to me. A lot of our shots are short. We're getting open looks, but we're just not hitting them. And I felt like that was a sore spot for the Boston Celtics, where it was like, we're getting open looks, we're getting good shots, opportunities, we're just not converting them. And that's what I really think that is for this Boston Celtics recent struggle. I feel like we're in the shooting slump. The last 7 games here, 38%. That was 30th in the league. For the team that was the best in the league in field goal percent, one of the best in the teams in field goal percentage, to last. Like, that's a significant drop-off. Something's going on there. And that's simply just not making shots, in my opinion. They're not taking tough shots. We get to their three-point percentage where they were 40th%. They dropped 11% points there, and they're 29th, second to last in the league. This team was just first in the league in field goal and three-point percentage, and now they're last. I think we were first in makes at that point in time in the first 26 games, and I think we were second in attempts, and we were shooting 40%. Now, when you look at it, I have the number over here. We're 12th in shot attempts, in first in attempts, but we're 29th in three-point percentage. We're simply just not making shots. That's not how you win in today's league. You have to make timely threes. You have to get good enough amount of threes to open up the floor for your scorers. But when you're shooting that poorly, that affects your numbers overall. That affects your defense. That affects your in transition, especially when teams are running. That affects your assist numbers. That looks like you're not moving the ball. When you're simply not making shots on open shots, that's a problem. They went down to 14th in free throw percentage, 77.6% from the line. Now you're not getting those easy extra buckets, those extra couple points that can get you guys in a rhythm, get you guys to change the game, feel confident going to the line. All those little things add up. And when everything's dropping off and you're not shooting well, even to the free throw line, that's a problem. Our rebounding went up because we're playing a little bit more dogfight games there. And our offensive rating was last in the league. Like, from first in the league to being one of the best NBA teams in NBA history on that end of the floor to one of the worst in the league right now. Like, that's a significant drop-off. That's not ball movement. And especially when you're the Celtics, who rely on the three, make the three, opens up things for your teammates, especially with Brown and Tatum. When you're missing like that, that derails everything in your offense. Surprisingly, our defense has gotten better. We're 7th in the league in defense on that, and in that stretch over the last week, 109 defensive rating here. And that's telling something. So even though where I was concerned about our defense heading into the season, our defense is now slowly creeping up, maybe not where we want it as yet, but the Celtics are improving on that end of the ball. But we're just having one of the worst shooting slumps right now, probably in league history. So are the Celtics more like they played in the first 26 games or the last 7 games? Now, our defense is creeping up. That's been surprising to me. But our offense there is going to somewhat kind of circle back down a little bit. I think we're still going to be one of the elite offensive teams in the league. But for people to sit here and be like, oh, we're playing like last year. No, we're not. The Celtics are not regressing there. The Celtics are having a struggle point right now in their season. They've been hitting on all cylinders so far to start the season. We stumbled in Golden State. We stumbled against the Clippers. Of course, we dropped the 2 games against the Magic and then the Pacers. So there's some concern there, and I'm like, the Celtics are what, 12-6 now at home? They're 11-5 on the road. Is there really cause for concern? The only concern I have right now is the health of Robert Williams, who is out tonight. Hopefully he's ready for the Bucks game. And I'll get into that going forward. But people are sitting here, and there's a little bit like, stay firm. Mm-hmm. If the Celtics been dropping all these games and looking terrible and weren't getting open looks, you got to watch the games. People look at the box score, people look at the stats, and they're like, hey, we're not playing good. They listen to all these guys like Eddie House and Kendrick Perkins, who are simply going to say, hey, we're not moving the ball and we're not doing this and that. And it's like, no, we're moving the ball. We're simply just not making shots. The percentages don't favor us right now. We're shooting one of the worst in the league right now. We're one of the worst shooting teams in the league right now. When over the first 26 games, we're one of the best shooting teams. Shooting slumps happens. Do I wish Sam Hauser was shooting a little bit better? Grant Williams was a little bit more aggressive. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown knocking down threes like they were earlier in the season? Yes. But shooting slumps happen to the NBA teams. So let's hold off on trying to throw these guys underneath the bus here and trying to make it seem like the Celtics are going backwards, that Joe Mazzulla has no idea what he's doing, that guys are playing iso ball and being selfish. It's like that's not the case here. Guys are not making open shots. The percentages show that affects your assist number, so it looks like you're not moving the ball because you're only getting one and done opportunities. So let's settle down here when trying to look at the Celtics, and let's look how they're going forward. They had a good win over Minnesota, in my opinion, here tonight. They got the Bucks, which brings me into my final point here. Christmas Day versus the Bucks. The Bucks lost 118-100 against the surging Brooklyn Nets. I think they're 13-3 since Kyrie came back, or 18-7 since Steve Nash was fired. And they're playing well right now. And maybe people are going to say they had a soft schedule, but what that allowed Brooklyn to do was get their bearings. Ben Simmons was out a little bit. Nick Claxton has really stepped up, and they're getting their bearings as an offensive team. Seth Curry, Joe Harris, all these guys, Markieff Morris, Yuta Watanabe, all these guys helping Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving spread the floor, give them space to operate. And when you have a 1-2 punch like that, that's going to be difficult. Chris Middleton did miss that game against the Nets. I think they sat him out, trying to get him ready for Christmas Day. That's a big game against the Celtics. Hopefully Robert Williams comes back. The Bucks have 3 7-footers, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, guys that kind of like Orlando in terms of their front court, guys that are versatile, that can give us a little bit more problems, veterans. Bobby Portis, one of the best double-double guys in the league. Giannis, I think he's the best player in the league anyway. And Brook Lopez, the ageless wonder, the guy that was able to transition his game to more of a three-point shot guy. Good defender, be able to block the rim there. Drew Holiday's a dog. Chris Middleton returning, bringing back his secondary playmaker. I don't know if Joe Ingles is back as yet. I think he started doing 5-on-5 drills. But this Bucks team is going to be looking forward to this game against the Boston Celtics, especially after last year. Team saying that they weren't healthy, and that's why the Celtics got the advantage on that. And I said last year that I wanted to see Chris Middleton here with this team and face the Bucks at full strength to really say, hey, we are the best team in the East here. And this is an early matchup in the season here. Both teams are going to obviously want this game. I hope the Celtics are ready to come out. I hope Robert Williams is 100% there and ready to go, because we're going to need him against the versatile front line of the Bucks. And especially with the return of Chris Middleton, that's going to give the Celtics a handful no matter who's guarding him, because he has that scoring ability. But I think the Celtics are going to be fine. I think they've shook off their weak drought here and put together a good win against Minnesota, and they're going to be looking to be up for that game against the Bucks on Sunday. Cannot wait for that game to happen. I think it's going to be an awesome game, especially it's Christmas Day. And I think the Celtics are going to win that 112-105. I'm just saying. I'm just making a prediction. I'm just putting something on the game there. And we'll see if the Celtics can prevail. But I think people have to kind of dial back their frustration, their hesitance to go with the Celtics. I think the Celtics are fine. I think they're going to turn things around and start putting together another win streak, and people are going to find something else to nitpick at and find something to just go after the Celtics with. But I think the Celtics are playing well. And I think they're going to turn it around and really show some guys what they can do, especially this second little stint here in the second quarter here, right up until All-Star break. And we'll see what the Celtics can do against the Bucks on Sunday. That'll be all for this video. I'll be trying to talk around the association again, because we had some interesting games here tonight that I can look at. And also check out my other videos regarding the Knicks and the Nets. They're surging right now. They're playing really well. attach that there at the end of the video. But thank you for joining me for this one.